Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Titletown Sports Podcast. Happy to have you here with us. I'm your host, one of them anyways. My name is Craig Stanton.
I'm Melissa Burns. I'm here too. Just remote today.
Yep. Titletown Podcast satellite offices in Quincy. I'm here in Brighton. We're making it happen on a day where your Boston Red Sox have won the American League Division Series and are moving on to the ALCS. You fired up there, Burnsy?
I'm super pumped. It's very different than the past few years that they've been in the playoffs. So this is a nice change of pace, not just getting swept out in the first round.
Yeah, sure as hell right it is. And speaking of a nice change of pace, we're going to be pretty much wall-to-wall baseball on today's program. And I think that this is more or less the first time we've ever done that. So that's exciting too.
I would hesitantly say that is 100% correct.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Before we dive into that, you want to get caught up on the other teams in town?
Yeah, we might as well. We have the AFC East leading Patriots play. They played last Thursday night. Which feels like that was forever ago.
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
Yeah. They beat the Colts 38-24, and that score definitely makes the game sound way closer than it actually was when you were watching it. We finally saw the return of Julian Edelman, both as a receiver and a punt returner. And the whole team actually played pretty well. The defense was aggressive from the start of the game, putting some real big hits on Andrew Luck early. And this game also featured, fun fact, Tom Brady's 500th regular season touchdown pass. Hey. And that touchdown was Josh Gordon's first as a Patriot.
Yeah, and what was the other part of that? The other part of that record, it was like 500 touchdowns but he has the most diverse group of receivers. It's like 71 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like to the most number of different receivers.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. You know, Tom Brady continues to set records. And I think particularly seeing Josh Gordon find his place in the offense felt really good. Just Brady having more options is always going to be a good thing because it makes it harder to defend the Patriots.
That and the Colts fucking suck. You know, the last time the Colts beat the Patriots was 2009.
Oh, they get some serious yips when they're coming to Gillette, too.
Oh, my God. What a punching bag.
And they were just wrecked with injury. I mean,
yeah, that was bad too.
Brutal. And then they were, I think they only dressed something like 44 players to begin with.
I was just going to say, I thought it was 46, but whatever.
Yeah, they
not
definitely
52.
Not 50. Yeah, not enough. And then they were just losing people left and right during the game. It almost got to the point where like a guy went down and I was like, oh, I actually feel kind of bad.
Yeah. Well, because you want to feel good about the Patriots winning, but every time a Colts player would get hurt, you're like less and less justified by celebrating. You know what I mean? Like it was like this becomes less and less legitimate as they just chip away at their healthy roster. But I mean, I was looking at you sort of forget that the Colts suck so bad. I decided that I'm going to make them honorary members of the AFC East. They're the fifth AFC East punching bag team that we can enjoy every year now.
We've played them so many times that it is hard to remember they're not part of the same division as you.
Right. And it's because the NFL just sticks them there because they think it's like some good historical matchup when it's not.
Yeah, once upon a time it was, but now they're they're another punching bag, to your point.
The other two teams that are not quite so active right now, let's start with the Celtics, where they finished their preseason with a 1-3 record.
Not ideal.
Neither Kyrie Irving or Gordon Hayward played in the final preseason game against Cleveland. Both of them were staying in Boston to get treatment for some various soreness in various body parts. So now we wait until Tuesday the 16th for them to officially begin their season. And sometime off will probably be good for everyone to get some rest and the team to work on some of the things Brad undoubtedly noticed during their preseason games, which didn't go great. I didn't watch any of them, so go C's.
Yeah, me either. We'll see what happens on the 16th.
Yeah, open up the 16th against the 76ers at home, I believe.
Yeah, which should be a good game. You know, the 76ers
totally.
are obviously were a good team last year, so it'll be interesting to see how far they've come in the offseason.
Yeah, just a lot of runway to the regular season in basketball.
There really is. It's surprising, actually. All right, hitting the last team in town, the Bruins. They officially did open their season. We talked about this last time they were recording. That game was happening. It did not go well. They got completely stomped.
Sure didn't. They got whooped.
The Caps scored 7 times and shut out the Bees. It was what I would call embarrassing. There was obviously panic in the streets of Boston for about 24 hours until they made their way to Buffalo and turned it right back around onto the Sabres and defeated them 4-0. All's right in the world again. They then had their own season opener, the Bruins that is, against the Ottawa Senators and won 6-3. Patrice Bergeron had himself a nice little hat trick in that game, which was good to see.
Yeah. I mean, not an ideal start for the Bruins. Tuukka Rask letting in, I think, 4 goals, and then they pulled him. Maybe it was 5.
For Halak.
Yaroslav Halak, our friend and yours, Jaroslav, pitched a fucking shutout the following night.
Did you see my tweet back to you the other day?
Yeah, ja.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious too.
Okay.
So anyways, I mean, the thing with the quick take on the Bruins is like, people forget this about hockey, but the opening couple of months of the season matter because really the playoff positioning doesn't change all that much over like the final months of the season. So like if you're not in playoff position by like Thanksgiving, you know, it's a hard road to dig out, you know, especially when, you know, you got the whole point system where you get 2 points for a win and 1 point, even if you go to overtime and lose, like just, it's sort of the standings tend to solidify pretty early on in the hockey season. So getting off to a really bad start is not inconsequential.
Yeah, it's very different than I feel like every other sport where you talk about like, oh, it's early. In hockey, those early games tend to matter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying one of the reasons the Bruins had, you know, such a strong playoff seeding last year was because of some of their early season wins and like really racking up those points early on.
Yeah, and they also, it was a little bit of a scary start last year, like in the first couple of weeks, but they eventually got it right by like the time November rolled around, and then they just never stopped winning. But yeah, I mean, it can get a little dicey, but I don't know. They're 2-1 now. They're going to play Edmonton on Thursday, and they've got a couple other games coming through, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, they've got some trash teams to start the year, which is a good thing because you can kind of just build up those points and put some spread between you and the bottom teams.
But yeah, they got fucking smoked against Washington.
Brutal. That was brutal.
Not good.
I was like, oh boy, that's...
Yeah, we were freaking out at 2-0. When we were recording, it was 2-0. We were like, oh, shit. Little did we know, by the time we were done recording, it was like fucking a bloodbath.
Yeah.
I didn't even find out till the next day. I was watching the Yankees-Oakland wildcard game.
Yeah, me too. You know, obviously that was more pressing, but yeah, when I pulled the score up the next day, I was like, oh, yeah, I was... Anyway, should we move on?
Let's talk some Red Sox. That kind of gets us back into the groove of things. So where we last left you all was, like we just said, Yankees and Oakland were playing that 1-game playoff game. And at the time of our last recording, we didn't even know who the Red Sox were going to be facing in the ALDS, no less, whether or not they were going to win and how it was going to play out.
Oakland started a reliever, so I was pretty confident that it was going to be the Yankees.
That's true. And I mean, you know, the Yankees, it was funny. Last week when we were recording, both of the teams that happened to get out to the early lead ended up winning in the Capitals and also the Yankees. But so we went this whole week where this whole series started and ended, and we didn't have an episode. So what I'd love to do, and Burnsy, you let me know if this is all right. I want to go through chronologically and just kind of rip through how we were feeling at the time and what we thought about what transpired in the ALDS.
Oh yeah, I'm into it. I loved this series.
Yeah, so let's just start right there. So, you know, whatever fucking day that was, Thursday night? Wednesday night? Yeah, so Wednesday night last week, we find out that it's Sox-Yankees in the ALDS. First time meeting in the playoffs since the Reverse the Curse 2004 ALCS. What was sort of like your like lead-off thought when you realized that we were going to get a Sox-Yankees playoff series?
Well, so I was about to ask you this question. I was like, wait, they haven't faced off since 2004? I was a little shocked.
Yeah, they kind of haven't been good at the same times as each other. Like since like the early 2000s, like Sox have had good years. Obviously, they won a World Series. The Yankees have had good years. Obviously, they won a World Series. But just their cycles, their up and down cycles, haven't really like matched up like they have
Yeah, I think we just hear so much about the Sox Yankees rivalry, and like that's the rivalry in baseball from our obviously Boston perspective.
At least from an East Coast perspective, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, oh wow, it's been 14 years since they've met in the playoffs. I was just shocked, but I was pumped to have them back. I was also very nervous. The Yankees have a good lineup, like they're a good offensive team, and that they were kind of hot coming into the playoffs, and I was worried that the pitching was just going to get smoked on the Red Sox.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I mean, it's obvious, they obviously won the series, so it's easy to couch your concerns in hindsight. I was predicting a Red Sox win. Like the Yankees are obviously good and they're a worthy opponent. They have a good lineup, and I had no confidence in their manager, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. Like managing over 162 regular season in baseball. As the manager, really what your primary job is like making sure everybody gets the appropriate rest in like health.
Right.
Once you get in the playoffs, like the manager in-game managing, we saw this with John Farrell being a fucking bonehead for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like it matters. You got to make decisions.
Yeah.
You got to like know your guys and know when to pull them and all that stuff. And I just did not think that Aaron Boone, who's never fucking managed a game in his life before this year, not even for a fucking little league team, they take him right off the field as a player, put him in the booth, and right out of the broadcast booth, and now he's the manager of the New York Yankees. Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It didn't make any sense to me. Why wouldn't you hire him as a bench manager with like a 5-year plan of him becoming
it's
your
wild.
major? Because he's getting eaten alive now in the press. Because it was some of his moves that ultimately, I think, ended up costing them the series. Like, he was hesitant. He left people out there too long. Maybe he didn't make the right lineup moves. I don't know. Alex Cora just seemed to, like, hands down dominate over Aaron
coach
Boone.
Circles around him. No doubt about it. Yeah, one other... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think one of the things that the manager has to do during the 162 game season is like build some trust up in his players too, so that when you make a move that's a little unprecedented in the postseason, you have the buy-in and commitment of the people playing on the field. And it seemed to me Cora 100% had that.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Cora, that's one thing that Cora comes out of this series looking like a fucking genius. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So here we have game one. Right?
Yeah.
Friday night in Boston. You have Chris Sale starting against, what's-his-face, J.A. Happ, who the Yankees picked up, I think, at the trade deadline or right around the trade deadline. Yeah. Sox get out to an early lead, and, I mean, J.D. Martinez hits a 3-run home run in the first inning, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt at the moment. I was watching the game, I wasn't at the game, but I was down at Fenway at one of the bars, and just like everybody lost their fucking mind. Chris Sale looked good in the first inning at least, so like you're like, all right, you can take a breath. He doesn't appear to be injured.
Yeah.
I think he struck out the side or maybe saw 4 batters in that first inning, and then JD goes fucking deep. Seemed to me that the Yankees were going to win that game. They just ran out of time, just chipping their way through the bullpen, tacking on run after run. I don't know how you felt about game one.
That is exactly what it felt like they were doing. Is like the Red Sox scored early, got out to a good lead. I 100% agreed. I felt like, woo, when I saw Chris Sale come out, look good in the first inning. Good, not great. But
yeah, not like incredibly. He's not like, he's not dominant, but good.
Right. But
solid.
He was serviceable. He got you there. He was a good game one starter to kick off the series. And then, as the game went on and they just kept like scoring runs and tacking them on. And I think that was the game Porcello came out in relief even.
That is correct. Yeah, and actually, you know what? I just pulled up the box score too, and I forgot about this until just now when I looked at it. So Chris Sale went 5 innings and the Yankees didn't score for 5 innings. The minute that the Sox go to their bullpen, the whole thing changed. I mean, you could feel it in the room, whatever room you were in. Like just the confidence level and the tone and the tenor. Like Yankees scored 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, none in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, and eventually lost 5-4. But it was, and Porcello had the 8th. So 6, 7, 9, you gave up runs, and those are the only bullpen innings that you had. Yeah, definitely a shaky start. I am entirely confident that if baseball was a 10-run game, a 10-inning game, that the Yankees would have won.
If they could have, if Porcello didn't have such a great 8th inning, and again, that goes back to our point about like Cora making the right decision at the right moment. Like if you'd run someone else out from their bullpen, like, all right, well now you're going to extra innings because they've tied it up.
Yeah,
just
that
like
was balls.
nickeling their way away.
Yeah, I loved Porcello out of the bullpen. I thought that was
too.
great. I mean, that's
Fuck it.
Cora saying like, we're not losing this game. Like we're up. We're going to stay up. We're not fucking blowing game one. Like this is a must win because it's the goddamn playoffs.
And that's, I was just saying, but in it's game one, like now they'd already announced him to start game 3. And now like he does that knowing that he's going to need another plan in 2 days or 3 days, I guess. But like, fuck it. I'll figure that out when we get there. I got to win this right now. I can't.
Totally. You gotta play for today.
That was game 1. It's a good game.
Hooray, 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 celebration. We're up 1-0. And then Saturday night, game 2, David fucking Price takes the mound.
Just David Price it all over the place.
And gets chased out of Fenway, basically. He's hooked before, halfway through the second inning, I think, 2/3 through the second inning. He got one out, I think. What were your Price takes?
I was pissed. Like, goddamn, David Price, it is just such a baby. I don't even know the word to describe him, but like, you consistently cannot win in the playoffs. Like, consistently. It is, no matter who you're facing, no matter what the situation is, like, you're walking in at home, up a game. This should be like the least pressured situation you can in the postseason, and you shank it.
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous about game 1 because of how it would potentially set up game 2. Like, my biggest concern with Sale was that if he doesn't pitch well and the Red Sox lose game 1, that's all the more pressure being put on David Price in game 2. And so I'm celebrating because not only are we up 1-0, but also David Price is in an ideal situation. It's not what you would call a must win. I mean, obviously an actual must win is impossible in game 2, but you know what I mean? Certainly would feel like a must win if you drop the first game.
Yeah, right. If you're 0-1.
Yeah, it is, to your point, remarkable how consistent that is. That he just shits himself in the playoffs. It's unreal. We actually got a call on this, which I'll play right now.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, it's Dan from Concord. Do you think the David Price signing could go down as one of the worst in Sox history? 0-3 in the playoffs with the Sox with a 14.85 ERA. On the flip side, since leaving the Sox, John Lester is a 5-4 in the playoffs with a 2.63 ERA, an NLCS MVP, and a World Series ring. Am I crazy to still be bitter about the Sox not re-signing Lester in 2015?
Well, yeah, I think that's going to be the long-term problem with the David Price signing is that he was the replacement for John Lester, who ended up just continuing to be lights out when he moved on from the Red Sox. Like, had Lester gone to Chicago and also imploded, you'd be able to say, like, well, whatever, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. But, the fact that Lester...
Or just been average.
Yeah, sure. But he was, like, beloved. He was, great for the city. I think people had a lot of affection for him. And so for him to move on and continue to be successful and us to be left with David Price, who, like, can't get his head out of his ass when it comes to a playoff game, I think it creates more resentment and, which probably in turn makes him, more tight-assed when he gets out there and then continues to fail. And I think that he will forever be maligned as a Red Sox player.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is possible that David Price could go down as one of the worst signings in the history of free agency in Boston. Like, I don't think it has so much to do with Lester. Like, it wasn't a trade. You know what I mean? Like,
no, sure.
Yes, in the offseason where Lester signed with Chicago, we signed David Price. So, like, I think that's just kind of a salt in the wound thing to, like, remember historically. Like, I think David Price is... let me put it this way. If like you just said, if Lester goes on to Chicago and is just pedestrian or sucks or whatever, like, do we feel any better about David Price? Like, I wouldn't. No, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't necessarily link them forever in the way that
sure.
that they will be historically.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, David Price is he's just so bad. He's just so bad. Like, it's insane how consistently bad he is in big spots. And, like, you look at these games, in a 4-game series where you got a good start out of 3 out of 4 guys and your highest paid fucking dude on the roster card is the one who just absolutely blows it. Like, not only did he lose, but he got his face ripped off. Didn't make it through 2 innings.
Well, and that's the thing. It would be one thing if, like, he had a quality start and they ended up losing the game. Okay, you made it 6, you gave up less than 3. Like, what are you gonna do? But, like, he was by far the worst starting pitcher in the series.
Yeah,
for both
for that
sides,
matter,
I would say.
if he throws the ball over the plate and he just gets hit, like that's one
Right.
thing too. Like
Okay,
his
fine.
first pitch is in the dirt. He's walking guys all over the place, hitting guys.
Yeah.
Like it's just a mess. Like you can tell he's just a mess. Anyways,
So can we talk about the end of that game where Aaron Judge was walking out of Fenway blasting New York, New York on a
yeah, I was
boombox?
just about to say the same thing. What was your take on that?
God, same page. I fucking love it. I think shit like that is what keeps a rivalry going. And it's the kind of thing that I'm like, yeah, okay. I heard it and I was like, fuck you, buddy. And then I was like, but like, get at ya. You smoked there. Like you just stole home field back because you won one, in Fenway. And David Price looked like trash. And I was like, all right, good at you. Like, I hope that the Red Sox come back and kick your ass now, even more than I did before.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. It was more of like a media stunt type of thing. Like he's walking through the hallway. He's not like directly taunting the Red Sox. Like he's doing it like via the reporters who are standing there capturing that moment. But like
he's
whatever,
taunting
it's
the fans.
fine. Like
he's
what do you
taunting the
expect?
fans. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't hate that.
I didn't mind it one bit. And again, easy for us to say now that we've won the series and like,
Sure.
the Sox
yeah.
last night are celebrating in the visiting locker room of Yankee Stadium again. Listening to New York, New York. Like, so, easy for
That's
us to
pretty
say
funny.
now.
Yeah, pretty funny.
So, I mean, let me ask you this too. Going into game 3, so you just got fucking neck punched from game 2, which wasn't like a huge blowout. I mean, they lost 6-2, but like really nothing felt like it was going for the Sox on that particular night. So going into game 3, I know that my confidence level was not high. Yeah, Nathan Eovaldi, who's kind of a rando, going against the Yankees. They're coming home. They just stole home field, like you said. Like, what was your feeling going into game 3?
I was concerned. I was genuinely concerned. I thought that one was going to go right into the loss column. And I was like, shit, you're going to need to win the last 2. And when Cora announced Eovaldi, I was like, all right, I get it. Because Porcello came out in relief. But like, you have to win this one to like turn the momentum back. And then, fuck, was I wrong?
Yeah, and not to mention not only having to win, but like winning's one thing. Oh, you needed a quality start. You needed someone to go 6 innings, 7 innings.
Right. Because your bullpen was jacked up. Like they were tired as hell. You used almost everybody over the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, you had Chris Kelly, Jesus Christ, 2011 Bruins. Joe Kelly pitched, 3 innings or 2 1/3 innings in game
Yeah,
2,
the night
cleaning up
before.
Price's
Yeah.
mess. You had
Or 2 nights before.
fucking Brazier in that game too. Like the whole bullpen had to get dumped out onto the field in game 2. Because again, it wasn't a blow. It would have been easier if it was a blowout. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
luckily for David Price, he let up a couple moonshots, but they were solo home runs. So like, what's the deal? If it was 10-0 or something, the Sox would have had an
Right.
easier time because then they could have
You
just
just-
thrown any old dickhead out there to
Right. You just
mop
make
up.
one guy stand out there and throw the pitches and, be
And
like,
just get
"Fuck
his
it. You
face
gotta-"
smashed in. Yeah.
Figure it
They
out.
actually were at a bit of a disadvantage there because it was still a competitive game.
Right. They still had a chance to come back, especially because like their strength all year has been their offense. So like, yeah, they had a real chance.
Yeah, and then along comes Big Nuts Nathan Eovaldi, who freaking throws bullets. The dude was throwing 100 miles an hour into the 7th inning. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Into the 7th inning. Like, I watched that. First, I have to tell you, this was my favorite fucking game of the entire series. Not just because the Red Sox won 16-1, which was pretty sweet. But like,
Yeah, tough pick.
I'll get into everything that I love about this game. Him throwing like that and being like, fuck you, fuck everybody, I'm going to win this is like,
Yeah, fuck
shit,
this team
dude.
that traded me.
Yeah, you win. You win.
So game 3, Nathan Eovaldi fucking throws bullets all night. This was also the night where Alex Cora takes out Eduardo Nunez and Ian Kinsler and Sandy Leon, puts in Christian Vasquez, Rafael Devers, and Brock Holt, all of whom hit at least a little bit. Brock Holt hits for the goddamn cycle. Like this was Alex Cora like fucking swagging on everybody, making a last minute change to his starting pitcher and throwing these 3 fucking randos out there, and they all contribute. Like that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Brock Holt, first player ever in postseason history to hit for the cycle.
Isn't that crazy?
That is great. That was like, really? When I heard that? Like, see, that to me is like how, and we talked about this, maybe it was a couple weeks ago now, and it's like, see, there are still things, even in a 16-1 game, that like there are still things that happen for the first time ever when you're watching sports. And that blows my mind. And like,
I couldn't believe that. Most of those records that you hear in baseball games, there's usually this has one qualifier, which is postseason, but usually there's like a shitload of qualifiers, and you're like, that's not a real thing. Like
the first cycle time, by like a second baseman,
a left-handed blonde guy, or like whatever.
Yeah, since the wild card era, who was born in a state that voted for the current president. And it's like, not a statistic.
Yeah, there's usually a shitload of qualifiers. There's like first cycle. I actually turned this game off in like the 8th or so. So Brock Holt hadn't hit the homer yet. And I woke up the next morning and laughed out loud because I couldn't believe he fucking got it. But yeah, wild that it's the first cycle in postseason history. Who'd have thunk it? Yeah. Baseball's been around a long goddamn time.
For it to be
I don't know if you knew that, Clarky.
It's not new.
No, they've been doing this thing. They've been doing it.
Damn.
So, all right. So we've got a series at 2-1. You've got the potential closeout game in Game 4, which was last night. What the fuck day is it today?
Today's Wednesday. It was Tuesday night.
So Tuesday night. That's right. So here's a big question. I wonder what your thought on going in was. Was Game 4? Should it have been a all hands on deck, empty the bucket, close it out tonight, do or die type of thing, or would you have gone into this game saying like, all right, if it's looking like we got it, then let's get it, but if not, let's just go to Game 5 at home?
I think watching how Houston steamrolled Cleveland, I would have said we got to win this one because we need as much time off as possible. And I need to get like people rest and, not have to use my bullpen 2 more games, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. I think arguments could be made for either approach. Clearly Alex Cora was willing to, I think as the game progressed and it was within reach. The Sox obviously got on CC Sabathia early. They loaded the bases in the first inning. Nothing came of it, but still, CC was pretty wild all night. Like he just clearly didn't have it. Porcello looked good, not incredible, but good. You got 1 through 3 innings from Matt Barnes and Ryan Brazier. Like seemed like everything was clicking, and I think that's where Cora made the decision to go with Sale. But I don't know. I think pregame I was thinking more like I don't know about going all out for Game 4, because you don't want to fuck yourself for Game 5. You know what I mean? Like when he put Sale out there in the 8th, I was nervous because if they lost, that's your Game 5 starter you're trotting out there. Like that's a big risk.
But I look at it as like, all right, you try to win Game 4 because then you have Sale for Game 1. You could put Sale, depending on how he looks in Game 1, like he could pitch 1-4-7. In an ALCS if you need him.
Well, yeah, if you win, but if you lose Game 4 and you put Sale out there and he has to actually throw like a significant amount of pitches, like, oh man, like imagine if Game 5 was tomorrow and Kimbrel actually blows the lead in the 9th and the Yankees come back to win in dramatic fashion at Yankee Stadium, and now we've got Game 5 on Thursday and Chris Sale pitched the previous night. That would be a nightmare.
I think he was on a tight leash though. Like if he didn't have a 1-2-3 inning, or if he looked like he didn't have it, I think Corey would have yanked him quick, and like you could have asked Kimbrel to get 5 outs. I think he looked at it, and I agree with you. I think he looked at it and was like, "We can win this. We can win it right now. Like
we got to do it. We got to shut it down. It's all hands on deck."
And that goes back to my point earlier about how like I think Cora was smart in the way he used this season, and clearly the trust and confidence he's built up with his team. Because when he said, we're going to win this, I'm pulling Sale, everyone was like, yeah, we got to do what we got to do, right?
That was balls. Yeah. That was ballsy.
Right. And the fact that Sale, coming off an injury, and like he's a big name pitcher. Oftentimes we see pitchers kind of being bitches. And, he wasn't like, no, I'm not coming out. Like, I'm not wasting my arm. Like, I'm a starter. He was like, yeah, we're a team. We got to do what we got to do. Like, I'm going to do what my manager asks of me.
You know what else I loved about that too? I expected him to go out there in the 8th and just throw fucking gas. And he didn't. He threw he was like throwing breaking balls and shit. Like he wasn't just getting up there and trying to blow everybody away. And that actually made me feel a little bit better when he was up there, because that tells me that like there was an approach. And they talked about it. They must have, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Chris Sale, go throw 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, So that calmed me a little bit while he was out there because I was like, okay, they're actually like they thought about this. Chris Sale didn't seem to be bothered when he was out there.
No.
And obviously he pitched well.
Oh, but then Kimbrel, Jesus
God.
Christ. It all would have been for naught if Kimbrel had fucked that whole thing in the last inning there.
So you basically play 2 games in New York where everything goes pretty much right.
Yeah.
You jump on both their game 3 and game 4 starters early. Pretty much everyone hits. I mean, certainly everybody hit in game 3. Game 4 was a pretty well-rounded offensive situation too. They loaded the bases twice, got a production from, some the bottom half of the order, Christian Vasquez, Ian Kinsler, those types of dudes. And then you hand the ball to your closer.
Who's been lights out all season.
He's 3-run lead in the bottom of the 9th. Clean inning. You're not a 4-out save. None of this bullshit. Like, just take Craig.
Right.
Don't lose the game.
The thing that we pay you to do and that you've done exceptionally well all year. And then he makes it interesting.
And he loads the bases, hits a guy, and lets up a sac fly to cut the lead to 4-3, right?
That sac fly was like way too
deep
close
as fuck.
to being
Holy
a
shit.
grand slam.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was I forgot about that. Yeah, Gary Sanchez, that fucking pud, gets up there and smokes one to the warning track. Like, I thought a fan was going to reach out and grab that fucking thing.
Yeah. And then the last play of the game ended up being reviewed.
Yeah, Nunez, it's like a little tapper in the infield. Nunez charges in from third and throws it across his body, kind of tumbling to the ground across the pitcher's mound. Steve Pearce makes a great catch at first base. It was reviewed, but it wasn't really that close.
But still.
I haven't been that nervous. It took forever too. That was a long inning. That probably took 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, when you're walking everybody I mean, they were just knocking them around. I
haven't been that nervous watching a Red Sox game probably since I don't know, maybe the 13 ALCS against the Tigers or something like that. But I can't recall a specific time where I was so fucking afraid that they were going to blow it. Oh, God. I put on Twitter last night, I said, what did I say? It felt like I was playing fucking Russian roulette.
Yeah, you said Russian roulette would have been less stressful or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, but they pull it out. And
they're on to the ALCS.
And we're on to the ALCS. They fucking got rid of the Yankees, which I think is great. I mean, what I think really my big picture take from this series is they avoided disaster. And you can interpret that as big picture or as small picture as you'd like. Like, in any given situation, I think Alex Cora avoided disaster. I think he made a lot of really smart moves, particularly with pitchers, bullpen guys or not bullpen guys coming out of the bullpen. He also had one of the things that undid Aaron Boone was leaving in Luis Severino and leaving in CC Sabathia way too long in game 3 and 4, and it fucked him.
Grady Little.
Yeah, seriously. And their bullpen's good. The thing with Grady Little is he didn't want to pull Pedro because he didn't trust anybody coming out of his bullpen. The Yankees' bullpen's the strength of their team.
Yeah.
Figure it out, Aaron.
Get it together.
Or don't. Whatever.
Lucky for us. I just have one more thing that I want to bring up.
I think I know what it is, but go ahead.
Oh, do you? In game 3, I got really irritated when I was watching the TBS broadcast and fucking Ron Darling.
Oh my God. Yeah. Keep going.
The juxtaposition between Ron Darling is saying so basically it was Andrew Benintendi that he had beef with, who stole a base, swung at a 3-0 pitch, and he was like, that's not what you do. That's you're up, you're leading, like you don't embarrass the other team. And I was like,
he didn't even steal yet. He was just taking a big lead on first base as they're up 8-1 or something like that. Yeah.
They were up 10-0, and he's talking about these quote unquote unwritten rules of baseball. Meanwhile, in every commercial break, they're running the goddamn let the kids play,
let the kids play commercial. Oh my God,
and I was
read my mind.
You guys are so you're not on the same page. And I wanted to scream at Ron Darling and say, this isn't a June game. It's not like a Sunday afternoon in June and he's extending the game. This is the goddamn playoffs. You play all 9 innings and you play hard. The Yankees came back on them in game 1 and almost won it. The Yankees could score 10 runs. The Red Sox had just scored 7 in an inning. And their
It's the
bullpen
New York
sucks.
fucking Yankees at home, the team that led the league in homers, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, all these fucking mashers against our shit-ass bullpen. Like, he makes it sound like 8 runs is some insurmountable lead. Like, are you kidding me? It's the playoffs,
It's the
man. Like,
I was like, no, you stay aggressive. You stay aggressive, Ron Darling. Like, I'm sorry that you don't like it or that the Yankees might be embarrassed by it. Tough shit. They're a good team. People are going to play hard against them, as they should.
yeah, bringing the code, like the you don't want to rub the other team's nose into it code into a playoff game. Like, come on,
Right.
Are you kidding?
And if that's what baseball wanted was this code, then they would have a like mercy rule, and they would
then
say
make
like,
a mercy
okay, you're
rule
by
for
8,
fuck's
like,
sakes.
you're-
Call it off like it's t-ball.
Yeah, like that's not how it's played, and they're professional athletes, and they should goddamn hustle the entire fucking game. I was so irritated just watching that and listening to him.
I was irritated by, and I'm never a dude that like gets on the announcers for like
No, I don't give a fuck.
being against your team or having some sort of bias. But I legitimately thought that Darling and the other guy, I forget his name, but the TBS broadcast crew was so Yankee biased. It was nuts. Like, not that they were necessarily. Like, I just felt like they were just talking about the Yankees all the time. Every time they opened their mouths, they were just talking about the Yankees. They would describe outcomes from a Yankee perspective. Like, for example, last night when the Yankees were behind, they kept on saying some things like, if the Yankees don't come back and the Red Sox move on, like if the Yankees don't come back, then game 1 of the ALCS will be at Saturday night at Fenway. And it's like, why wouldn't you phrase that sentence by saying if the Red Sox win?
Right.
Like,
If they
the
hold
Yankees don't come back,
Right.
like, I don't know. I just felt like every time they were speaking like they were wearing pinstripes and they had to like form everything in this like Yankee slant. It was fucking annoying. And I'm honestly, it doesn't sound like it right now, but I'm really not the type of guy that's like, fuck Joe Buck, he fucking hates the Sox. Like, I don't care about announcers ever. But this was like really started to fucking annoy me.
Maybe they're banging Susan Waldman and we just don't know.
Oh boy, scandal.
Yeah, they're trying. Maybe the Yankees are their home team. Who knows?
Yeah, they're playing footsie with the broadcasters next door. Anyways, all right, so we got game 2. I'm sorry,
Nope,
game 1,
game one.
ALCS at home in Fenway. We finally have a normal 7-game series.
Yeah.
You afraid of the Astros? What's your feeling?
Fuck yeah, I'm afraid of the Astros. They look good. They are good. They were. They won 103.
Defending World Series champs, 100+ game winners, made short work of the fucking
Cleveland Indians.
Indians, of course. Yeah.
It wasn't even a contest. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and that was
series like, oh, that's not great.
And that was one of the teams that we were worried about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be interesting. You got what should be a fucking awesome pitching matchup. Justin Verlander and Chris Sale, game 1 on Saturday. They named David Price. This just happened today. Again, we're recording on a Wednesday here. They named Game Price the game 2 starter, which I think is absolutely stupid. I don't know what your feeling is.
You know what I would almost do is like, I would almost have David Price pitch game 3 because like you give one up in Houston. This is not the worst. You know what I mean? Like, I always have this thing, like, I do think home field advantage is important in baseball because I think you know your own ballpark better. And there are, like, weird idiosyncrasies when it comes to ballparks. They're not regulation, obviously.
For sure. And pitchers are weird and they have their routines
Pitchers are
and all that
super
sort of
weird.
stuff.
And so it's like, I would kind of make David Price the fucking sacrificial lamb. And it's like, well, if we lose that one in Houston, like, all right, we'll give one back to them in their home.
Houston is also in the South. It's also indoors. David Price, who generally pitches poorly in cold weather. It's supposed to be cold this weekend. It was warm for this Yankee series, but it's supposed to be cold this weekend. I agree with your take about like letting one up on the road. Like, you got to pitch him at some point.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
I would say actually game 4 though. Game 4 is the only slot that is not gonna pitch twice. Like, he's your worst starter.
Yeah.
Period. Like, he's bad. He's your
that's
worst starter by a
scary.
mile. So I'd pitch him game 4 because your first starters, game 1's going to get 5, game 2's going to get 6, game 3's going to get 7, assuming that those happen. Your game 4 starter is the only guy that doesn't definitely, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm doing a bad job of phrasing this.
I know 100% what you're saying. But you can always bring, I mean, I guess you can see how the series goes. Because if you're down 3-0 heading into game 4, are you going to start David Price?
Oh God! I mean, I don't know
right?
about that.
You
I mean,
would have
if they're
to throw Chris
down,
Sale back out there.
you would have to. But goddamn, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Because in a 7-game series, you can run with 3 starting pitchers.
Yeah, so theoretically, yes, you can get away with a 7-game series with 3 starters. But the way that Cora had to manage the ALDS, he's got to take fucking guys out of the bullpen every other game. Well, he's got to take starters out of the bullpen. That is so. Like, I don't think he can. He needs 4 guys.
I don't know. Maybe make David Price your mop-up guy coming out of the pen. I wouldn't trust him then either, though. Yeah, I guess I look at Game 3 as like Game 3 can't be a make or break game. And so I don't want to be 3-0 and be like, fuck, now I have David Price going because he's going to turtle. Like
Yeah, that's true. There is no elimination scenario in a Game 3 for sure. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the thing with Cora, like I think Cora came out of the DS looking really, really good. But the thing I respect the most about him is that he has been able to look at all of his deficiencies and not be like in denial about any of them.
Yeah.
With one exception. And his name is David Price. That's the only thing that he has not. I mean, he's not going to acknowledge it like in the press. I'm saying like with his actions, he hasn't acknowledged. Like he knew in Game 1 he wasn't putting fucking Joe Kelly on the mound in the 8th. He said, "Rick Porcello, you get warm because like I need to win this game, and I know that I'm not putting another one of these bullpen bums out there."
Right.
Like that's looking at your team, looking at a deficiency, and saying, "I got to deal with this. Like I can't win with these guys. I got to win with those guys."
Yeah.
And the only person he hasn't done that with is David Price. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him.
2 starter again, I think speaks 100% to your point.
Ugh, we'll see.
Anyway.
All right. Wow. Okay. Do you feel good?
I feel great. I feel excited. I love playoff baseball.
Fucking yeah. Me too, man. Shit. It feels like it's been a long time since we've had like really good, compelling postseason baseball games. Yeah. All right. You want to get to this lightning round?
I do.
Whew. All right, so lightning round. Here we go. We're going to clean up the rest of the stuff that happened this week. Starting with the NBA put out results from their annual GM survey this week. One question was, which player acquisition will make the biggest impact? And LeBron James received 97% of the vote. I wonder who the one holdout was. Probably Gilbert in Cleveland, if that's still the owner. Or GM, whatever. The question to you, Melissa, is do you buy that one player can have such a large single-handed impact on a team in the NBA?
When it's LeBron James, I do think that he can. The Lakers were trash last season. Like, they just sucked all over the place. But I think someone like LeBron James, like we've seen him so many times single-handedly change a series or change a game and just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to put up 50 points by myself and like win this. And I think it will be a very long and tiring season for him, but I think he will just muscle them into a better record.
Yeah, agreed.
The problem is they still won't be able to beat the Warriors because he still can't. So
because they can't.
I don't understand it. Anyway.
Also agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Drew Brees officially became the NFL's career passing leader on Monday night against the Redskins. He now has 72,103 passing yards. The game was then stopped while they had a little formal acknowledgement of his accomplishment. Was it cool or cheesy to recognize him in the moment on the field? And do you classify this record as a major one?
Oh my God, so lame to stop the game and acknowledge that he just threw for more yards. Like, that's also kind of an empty stat, don't you think? Just overall passing yards.
I sure do.
Sure, this is a good record for Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a very good quarterback, and he'll go down as a very good quarterback. But, like, stopping the game to, like, shake his hand, that's so weird. I didn't see it live, but, like, very strange. I'm not about that.
Follow-up question. Did you see Peyton Manning's congratulatory video?
I did not.
So he records this video where he's cutting tomatoes up for some unknown reason. And he is like, he's congratulating Drew Brees, but he's like, this is annoying. And now they tell me that you're probably going to beat my touchdown record too. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and congratulate you for that one because I'm very busy. I can't keep stopping my life to make these videos for you. I'm out here making dinner for my family. I got things to do. Like, it was actually pretty funny. And I was like, God damn it, Peyton Manning. Why are you so likable off field?
I just hate his quick sidebar for Peyton Manning. I just hate Peyton Manning's obsession with appearing to be a blue collar regular guy when he's not and he has never been. But he's obsessed with this persona that he's cultivated over his entire career, that he's like some average Joe. Ugh, I hate that guy.
I like it.
All right, next.
I know I'm not supposed to answer my own question, but I also don't think it's a major record because it's going to be broken in like 3 years by like Matthew Stafford, who's like a scrub quarterback. Mahomes is going to break it this fucking season.
Yeah, he's going to do it this week against the Pats. All right, next question.
Yeah, okay.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Oof.
Odell Beckham Jr. Said in an ESPN interview that he feels that he isn't being given the opportunity to be his best, and that's a quote. And naturally, the fault does not lie with him. He has since said he regrets nothing and has addressed the team and thinks it will help them all come together. Do you think that players can unite a team through the media and talking shit? And if you were Eli Manning, how would you respond to this?
No, I do not think that you can unite a team through the media like that. I think that was a dick move by Odell Beckham. And if I were Eli Manning, I'd be like, well, fuck it. I'm already 1-4 and this team sucks. So I'm just going to keep the ball away from Odell and see how he likes his stats on that line.
Yeah, another awesome thing from this interview was he was complaining about having like their yards per attempt is like under 20 yards. And then in the game on Sunday, Odell Beckham Jr. threw a 60-yard touchdown pass on a trick play to Saquon, the fucking running back there, Barkley. And so now he has the longest fucking pass on the Giants books this season, which I think is pretty awesome.
He also has a perfect QBR.
Yeah, sure does.
I thought you were going to say that the best thing about this interview was that Lil Wayne was inexplicably
Lil Wayne was right there. Yeah, Lil Wayne was just riding shotgun.
And then
that was
Lil
fucking
Wayne
weird.
Yesterday on Instagram, threw out like a diss video to Eli Manning too. If I were Eli Manning, I'd be like, listen, I'm just some gump out here trying to throw the ball.
Off.
Leave me the fuck alone.
All right, next.
Anyway. So getting back to baseball, the NLCS matchup has also been decided, and it is the LA Dodgers versus the Milwaukee Brewers. How familiar are you with these teams, and do you have any predictions for this series?
I am not very familiar with these teams. I don't watch a whole lot of National League ball. I do like the Brewers generally. They're like a scrappy little smaller market team that I can kind of get behind on like a level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Dodgers are a fucking wagon. Like, I don't really find myself rooting for the Dodgers. They're sort of like, I don't know, Red Sox, Yankees, West.
Yeah.
Like just big ass, huge payroll. They lost the World Series last year. I mean, if let's just for a minute assume that we're going to the World Series, which we are most certainly not yet.
Yeah.
I would rather play the Brewers than the Dodgers. I mean, I'll take the plucky overachievers over the big fucking gazillion-dollar payroll team any day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's like the Rockies. Remember that Rockies team in 2007 that the Red Sox beat to win the World Series? Like they had won like, I don't know, something stupid, like 25 out of the last 28 games, like going up to and into the playoffs or some crazy thing like that. They were like little, scrappy world beaters, and then the fucking Red Sox just flattened them, swept them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, more of that.
Let's re-rack that.
More of that, please.
All right, here's a good one for you.
Yeah.
The Nashville Predators, that's a hockey team, on their opening night raised 3 banners. 3 banners.
Feels like a lot.
They state the following. Banner number 1 says Central Division Champs 2017-2018. Another says President's Trophy winners 2017-2018. That's a trophy awarded to the team in the NHL with the most regular season wins.
Yep.
And the best one, or my personal favorite, says Regular Season Western Conference Champion 2017-2018. So if you're keeping score, that is 3 banners for a year where the Predators lost in the second round of the playoffs, just as far as the Bruins went last year. They lost to the Jets, who went on to lose to the fucking Golden Knights, who went on to lose to the Capitals. So my question to you, I guess, is how fucking pathetic is this? And would you ever want your team to celebrate a good regular season and a perfectly fine playoff run with 3 fucking banners?
No, that would be the kind of shit that would make me burn my team attire and would be so embarrassing. I would wear a bag over my head to the game because
that's brutal.
You can't regular season Western Conference Championship.
That's not even a thing. You weren't the Western Conference champs. You just weren't.
Right. You had the best. That's more embarrassing. Oh, so you had the best record in the Western Conference and you lost in the playoffs?
Which is what the President's Trophy banner. I mean, it's lame enough to hang a President's Trophy banner. I hate the fucking President's Trophy banner that hangs in the Garden. There's 2 years where they won the President's Trophy. They did not win the Stanley Cup in either year. The President's Trophy is nice, but it does not belong in your banner.
Right. Great. You were the best loser.
So gross.
It's terrible. All right. Marcus Smart and J.R. Smith got in a little shoving match in Saturday night's Celtics preseason game against Cleveland.
Sure did.
I cannot speak. Marcus Smart apparently told him to meet him in the back, and J.R. Smith responded on Twitter saying to meet him in the streets. J.R. Smith was sort of chuckling while it was all going down on the court, and Smart, after rushing in to defend Aaron Baines, was held back by Jason Tatum. Let's reset our Marcus Smart opinions from last year. Are you a Marcus Smart fan? And do you think his rushing in to defend a teammate has value?
So resetting my Marcus Smart take from last year. I think he is overrated, but I am a Marcus Smart fan. I think he's a valuable player on only a handful of teams, and the Celtics are one of them. Yep. Therefore, he's a valuable player.
That's a classic Boston take.
I'm a Marcus Smart guy. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Do I think his rushing in to defend his teammate has value? Yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't know if anybody was unclear about Marcus Smart's role on the team. I guess he sort of continues to solidify it, but I don't put any value in NBA beef like this. Like, it's just so phony. Like, if you watch the replay of this, like, J.R. Smith has his back turned and Marcus Smart goes like running in. Like, he comes sprinting in out of nowhere and like sort of just kind of shoves him. Like, if it was a hockey game, he'd punch him, but it's a basketball game, so he didn't. It's just like nobody ever fights. Like, I can't get that jacked up about a basketball fight, quote unquote, because they're not real. They could be. If someone wanted to throw a punch, they could, but they won't, so they don't.
Like the Malice in the Palace?
Yeah, well, that's punching a fan. That's a little bit different, but
oh my god,
but like
so
they just
specific.
they don't fight. Like it's not like that. It's not like that UFC guy who jumped out of the fucking ring to go beat the shit out of the trainer. Like that just
crazy.
does not happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't get that jacked up about NBA fights because they don't really exist.
I didn't put the question in about the UFC guy because there was zero chance that I could say that guy's name.
Yeah, we just dodged it.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, you can Google it on your own time.
All right, similar question for you, Melissa. Brad Marchand this week in that season opener beat the fucking bag out of a Capitals player by the name of Lars Eller, former Montreal Canadian, in the Bruins opening night 7-0 loss to the Capitals. Eller, after scoring, I think it was the 6th goal of the game, sort of skated by the Bruins bench and like did a little wave, which wasn't cool. Brad Marchand took offense, challenged him. Eller didn't really want to go, but reluctantly engaged, dropped the gloves, and just got his face smashed in. Here's another replay that I encourage our listeners to go check out. Hockeyfights.com. Go watch this. So I guess similar to the Smart question, resetting your take on Brad Marchand, generally his value to the team. And do you think beating the shit out of someone in a 7-0 loss has value?
Fuck yeah. Overall? I love hockey fights all the time, anytime. I think it's good. I think it's funny because as much as I was talking about like baseball and the unwritten rules and all that, like hockey does have those unwritten rules. But the beauty in hockey is that when someone breaks one of them, you kick their fucking ass and it's great.
There's some accountability.
Yes, exactly. That they're not going to take that and they're going to be a tough team. And I think the Bruins have always kind of had a reputation of being like the big bad Bruins and like they're not going to shy away from a fight. And so I like Marchand getting out there and saying like, fuck you, bro. You're not going to taunt us. Because this is game one. You're going to see this team again. It's important to assert some dominance, and let your team know that that's not who you are and you're not going to stand for that. And that even when you're getting lost, even when you're getting crushed, you still have pride, in your team and in your teammates.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's the non-fighting stuff that drives me the most nuts with Marchand. It's the dirty hits and the fucking slashes and the licking and the headshots. Like if he's just gonna square up and start fighting people, like sure. Lars Eller is also huge. Brad Marchand's like 5'9", like 190 pounds. Lars Eller is like 6'2", like gotta be over 200. Like this was not Brad Marchand's a little fucking
peanut.
I don't know, little rat compared to this guy.
Listen, Lars Eller deserves to get his teeth kicked in simply for being a Montreal Canadian in the past. Big
Scandinavian goof. Yeah. Anyways. All right, last lightning round question is the undefeated Kansas City football Chiefs are rolling into Foxborough on Sunday. Kickoff is like 8:20 or something. I think the Sox play at 7. So that's the game 2, David Price game. So it should be about 8 or 9-0 Astros by the time that the Pats kick off. So no big deal there.
Maybe we didn't give Cora enough credit. Maybe that's why he's having Price pitch game 2, because most people won't see it. Or he'll be out before the Patriots game starts anyway.
True. He just wants to take the conflict away from all of New England. Appreciate it, bud.
They flexed the Saturday Bruins game up so that it won't.
I saw that. It's good. Good on them.
Smart.
Yeah, moved it up to three
Smart move.
in the afternoon. So what's your take on the Chiefs? Think the Pats are going to win?
I do think the Pats are going to win because I don't think the Chiefs have a very good defense. They've let up a lot of points over the season so far. But I'm actually kind of excited to see Patrick Mahomes in person and really like watch a game because I don't watch a lot of Chiefs football. I know that's
Right.
hard
Yeah,
to
you
believe.
see the highlights,
Yeah.
but like whatever.
I do think the Patriots are going to win. I think that they looked surgical last week against the Colts. And I think that having, back to that point about Edelman, Gordon, Gronk, James White, and Sony Michel all kind of rolling is going to help Brady just pick apart their defense as it stands.
Yeah, I agree. The addition of Edelman last week was also a big factor in that game. You could see it on the just from every offensive possession was it just they're just a whole different. There's a whole different team with a really good slot option. Like it's a whole different kettle of fish. So I'm also picking the Pats on Sunday, but it'll be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a runaway. I just think they're going to win.
Yeah, I think agreed. I think they've let up a lot of points in some of these games too. So it'll be interesting to see what offense comes out on top. I just can't help but believe in the Patriots. And if the defense plays as well as they did against Indy, granted, a much scrubbier team than the Chiefs have looked to be, I think that will bode well for them.
Should be interesting. Should be another good week in Boston sports, baby.
It's the most exciting time of the
teams
year.
Back in action. And we'll be back next week with another jam-packed episode, I am sure.
Yes.
In the meantime,
Yeah.
if you want to get in touch with us on the social medias, you certainly can do that at Titletown Pod. I failed to mention this when I talked about that call earlier today, but 904-87-TT-POD is our phone line. You can call in and leave us a voicemail any old time.
Yeah.
And we'll get your takes on the air just like we did Dan and Concord earlier today.
Yeah, as things are happening, call, leave us your takes. Are you excited or you're angry? Were we super wrong with a prediction and you want to mock us? Anything's fine. It's all acceptable.
Anything goes on the Titletown call-in line. Anything goes. Well, cool. I'll talk to you next week, Melissa.
Bye.
Later.